We are live. Woohoo! Yay! All right, you guys, we have another episode of Positivity Interviews with Jamie Allen Bishop. And I am introducing Miss Clare Bennett. She's amazing. I've worked with her before, so I'm biased, completely biased. She's a gifted empath from Scotland. Love it. She has healing modalities or works with healing modalities like hypnotherapy, reiki, therapeutic tarot, and she's a fantastic coach. I cannot wait for you guys to learn more about Clare Bennett. Woo! Thank you for being here. So tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. Sorry. Sure, my internet connection was going slow there, so I've just closed a couple of things, so hopefully that should speed up. I'm delighted to be here. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I've had a really lovely day, actually. I was delivering the Empowered Empath course today, which really has been, we were talking a little bit earlier about being guided, and this is something that has been sort of, tingling away, but didn't take action on it for a while. So the Empowered Empath is a wonderful course to really help empaths celebrate who they are, really own their gifts and do the great work that they were created to do. So that's been a huge part of my own journey as an empath. So that's definitely one of the things that I'm feeling most passionate about at the moment.
That's awesome. That's so needed, Claire. You know how I feel about that. So desperately. And all the work that you do is really, it's so impactful. And I love that we're worldwide now. So we get to know each other. We get to meet each other.
Yeah, it's really an amazing opportunity.
It makes me happy. It makes me happy. Okay, so if you've seen any of my other interviews, you know that this is where we switch from the business mode to the personal mode. So we're going to get to know Claire. We're going to ask her a couple of off the cuff questions. She does not know what I'm going to ask her ahead of time. So have patience if it takes her a minute to come up with an answer. It's all good. That is what we're here to do, is just to learn about each other. Okay, so Miss Claire, what brings you joy, my friend?
Oh, joy, it has to be dancing, Jamie, dancing. When I was really, really young, music always moved me, and I think this is part of the empath journey, the ability to feel really deeply. So when I hear music, it's almost like I can feel it moving through me, and I can't help but, move. And when I was really young, I went to dance classes. So I went to tap dancing, ballet dancing, modern dancing, and I went to one school of dancing. I mean, I wasn't particularly, I'll tell you about that in a minute, but I was so passionate and excited about it that I wanted to go to a second dancing school to learn other types, like sort of disco dancing. But I was so tired. My mum said that I was starting to get kind of grumpy, which I still do get a little bit grumpy when I'm tired. So my mum knew, and she sat me down. She said, "Claire, sweetheart, I know you love this dancing, but you're going to have to choose," because I had this, I want to do everything sort of, which is kind of how I am in my business, hypnotherapy, tarot, reiki, all these things. So that hasn't really changed about me. So she said, "Look, sweetheart, you're going to have to choose." So I chose the original dance school. But my dance teacher used to say to me, because I could be a little bit clumsy, my dance teacher said, she says, "No, Claire, you're not the best in the class." She says, "But I can't take my eyes off you. I can't take my eyes off you, So I would always, and I think this is the empath thing, I would get like really excited and really kind of go for it. And I would do that. But once I was aware that people were like watching me, I would start to get self-conscious. So I was fine like dancing in groups, but if you asked me to do it on my own, I would get a little bit self-conscious. I just like the freedom just to be me. So that gives me joy. I was actually dancing before I came on this call with you. I was having a bit of a dance. So that's a great question to start off with. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. So Isn't it amazing how we as a human race are just attracted like moths to a flame with somebody
Mm,
who is in their passion, who is
mm,
living from that heart space, and almost they don't even care what other people
mm,
think. It's not really about not caring what other people think. It's just that they're so centered in who they are and what they're about that that other stuff is outside of their bubble of influence until we let it in, right?
mm-hmm. So true. So
Oh,
true.
I love it. I love it. Dance is a huge thing for me too. Um,
Yeah.
Nothing formal at all, but I
Mm-hmm.
love how it shakes up the energy. It shakes up the, especially if I'm feeling yucky. That's the first
Oh yeah.
go-to is to get up
Yeah.
and move, get up and just shake my tush.
It's energy work. It's it's,
Yes,
it's it's basically moving, processing. Yeah. Emotional and energy work. Yeah. Absolutely.
absolutely. No doubt about it. All right. So, oh, which one is going to jump out at me? Okay. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
Well, when I was younger, I used to love being told. I used to love people complimenting me on my intelligence. I think that's partly due to that being quite valued in my family environment. So that was something that I really, I, I really liked to be complimented on that with my intelligence. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
I'm intelligent. Um, and now, people people tell me I'm courageous, and I really like that. I really like that. When people compliment me and say that I'm courageous, or that I've inspired them. And so often I will do things that maybe take a bit of courage, and then when people come back to me and say that's really inspired me, or I saw you do X, Y, and Z, and therefore I tried this, that really, that really touches me really deeply when that happens. So it might be the courage, or the or to be a bit rebellious. I think we need to be a bit rebellious in life, not to just go with what we're taught or what we believe, to question things, to move in different directions. So even today I was reflecting on the fact, a few years ago, you might not know this about me, but I had arthritis. I was diagnosed with arthritis, and the doctors told me that I would be on medication the rest of my life, and I was like, no, no, I won't. No. So I've actually got a huge amount of gratitude for that experience, because if it wasn't for that, I probably, and it was awful at the time. I mean, it was horrendous. But if it was like really, but if it wasn't for that, then I might not have moved in another direction. So that was the sort of spiritual kick up the backside, to move in a different direction, to start questioning, okay, the way I'm living isn't working for me because I'm in agony head to toe. So what do I need to do differently? So I started with food, and then it went on. Yeah, I see him, gorgeous, gorgeous little ears
She's,
popped up.
yep.
The little,
She's refusing. I'm like, Bagheera, get down.
oh, I called
No.
her a he. Sorry, sweetheart.
Oh,
You're a
no, no,
beautiful
no.
queen.
She's
A beautiful
fine.
queen.
She's very powerful energy. I love
So
that
that,
answer. I love that
mm,
answer because it just it just gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it?
mm-hmm,
When we are complimented, it's kind of one of those, it's one of those things that can pivot us into this kind of acceptance. So when people recognize our strengths, basically, right?
yeah.
We can
Well, we
blossom.
can feel seen, because some compliments are very empty, and I'm assuming that's why you've asked this question around what compliments I like to receive, because some compliments can be quite empty, but when we feel really seen, if someone really sees us, then it touches very deeply, because I think that's really what we want as human beings. We want to be seen and understood and loved for who we truly are, don't we?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So it seems apropos to go from there into, even though it's kind of similar, I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite memory?
Oh, I'm not sure about favorite memory, but one memory that immediately popped into my mind was when I was in Bolivia a long time ago. I would have been in my early to mid 20s, something like that. And it was the first time I'd really traveled outside. Well, it was the first time I'd really been traveling on my own. And I was doing some volunteer work in an orphanage in Bolivia. But at the weekends, we would get to explore and have a different type of experience. So there was tons of experiences through that 3-month period. But one that really stood out was we had an opportunity to go to Potosi, which is where all the silver mines were. And we had, which used to be an incredibly rich part of the world, and we had an opportunity to crawl through the mines, with the miners who like to get very, very drunk. And at that time in my life, so did I don't really anymore, but at that time in my life, so did I. So I went on a Friday. It was a Friday, so it was very much the start of the weekend and everyone was celebrating. So we were inside the mine. They have a statue of the devil to worship the devil while they're in there, because that is seen as his domain, the unseen, the shadow, which now I'm working with tarot, obviously has a whole other meaning. But at that time, it was very much just understanding that this was the underworld and this was the darkness and the shadows, and we were in there, and we had to honor him. And I remember the statue of the devil had a massive penis, you know, like completely out of proportion, But this is so this is how they, you know, that this is what they did. But for me, it just felt like really exciting. It was something I'd never stirred up that sort of wildness in me. So it was great fun, and yeah, and obviously now you know that I'm a therapeutic tarot reader, and the card the devil represents all that is dark and unseen and the shadows and those parts that are less socially acceptable sometimes. So that's interesting. Thank you for asking me about that, because I hadn't actually pulled that previous experience into my reality. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. It's a great response. Honoring every side, every aspect of ourselves is part of the growth. It's part of the full acceptance of who we are. And it doesn't matter, you know, we can call it the devil, but really it's just that, I like how you said it. It's the dark places. It's the shadow side. It's that polarity that helps keep us balanced, right? Yeah. So
yeah,
absolutely fabulous, Matt. What a fun experience as a young woman.
Really good fun.
So cool. Okay, so last but not least, who has most influenced your life, and maybe why?
That's a hard question. I mean, thank you for asking that question. That is quite a tricky one. I feel like there's been a lot of people that have influenced in my life, have been influences in my life for different reasons. I mean, obviously family, growing up. I also had a lot of really positive influences as a sort of young girl, sort of young woman, teenager, through some of the groups that I attended, who I think really brought out the best in me. Was various characters who were quite eccentric, actually, in some ways. I had a drama teacher who was very I don't even know, very dramatic, obviously. There's a lot of different influences of people who seem to bring out different parts of me, that I really appreciate. A lot of strong women around me. My gran was a very strong woman. My mum, and like I say, some of these sort of like teachers or youth leaders, in the Girls' Brigade. She was a very powerful woman. You know, there's too many. As an adult, more recently, when I was unwell, that took me on a completely different journey. I would seek out people who had healed themselves. I started to seek out different healing modalities and work with that there. So I really can't choose one. I would say I've been really influenced and guided and supported and loved by many people, and I appreciate all of that. I mean, my mum is maybe an obvious choice. My mum encouraged me to be me. So I think from quite an early age, my mum was accepting of the different parts of me, mostly. She was quite accepting of different parts of me, my sort of eccentricity, or the things that I wanted to do. She was encouraging. I was very had a huge appetite for doing different things, whether that be dancing or learning about this or going here or going on this adventure. So I was always very like that, and my mum encouraged me to do that, because my brother was very different. My brother loved to read and loved to absorb information and learn and experience the world through watching and that way, whereas I'm much more kinesthetic, and I want to like feel things and be in about things. And my mum learned that we were very different. So he's a lot older than me, and the first time that she took him to a bookstore, he was like, you know, like died and gone to heaven. Whereas and so years later, because there's quite a big gap between us, about 7 years. So when she took me, she was like, Claire, we're going to go into this place. And my mum was like, oh, she's going to love it. And we walked in, and I was just like, it's just books. Is there anything else there? Because I like to experience things more. I like to feel things more and do things more. So so that was that. So my mum was really good, a really great example of a parent who did encourage and who got to know us that we were different, understand that we were different, and allow us to be ourselves. So that's I mean, that's a great question. I feel like I could spend the next 2 hours answering that question, so I'll say no more for now.
Love it. I mean, truly, our parents, whether they're actively involved in our lives or not, are such a heavy influence on us and who we become, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. I love those answers. That's so exciting. This has been super fun to get to know you so much better. And I love your experiences. It definitely pulls together all of the gifts that you bring to this world. So thank you for doing you.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity. It's been such a pleasure. I'm so glad I've met you.
How can people get a hold of you?
Well, I mainly through Facebook or email. So my email address is connect@clarebennett.scot. My website is obviously clarebennett.scot. You just need to be careful about spelling. So Clare doesn't have an I, and Bennett has got 2 N's and 2 T's, and .scot, SCOT, which is the Scottish extension. I was one of the first ones to get that, actually. That's a fun fact. But I'm on Facebook. A lot. So I have a group called Authentic Connections for people who are looking to express themselves in a more authentic way and connect with other people who wish to do the same. And either my Facebook profile, which is just Clare Bennett, or my Facebook page, which is my name, Clare Bennett, as well.
And I'll include all of those links in the post once I get it up and running. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. That's awesome.
Thank you, Jamie. You're lovely. Thank you. The experience.
Wonderful.
I loved it.
Well, you stay on, everybody on social media. Thank you for joining us. And if you're watching the replay, hit hashtag replay so that we can acknowledge you. And thank you for being